Hey everyone, I am Baron Baptiste. Welcome to the electrifying realm of transformation and truth here. I am your host, Baron Baptiste, with my friend and really amazing human being, David Masters. Welcome.
I am not worthy of that, but I will take it. Thank you very much. It's always
Yeah,
great to be here with you.
yeah,
I always do better when you and I are together. That's all I can tell
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's good like that, right?
Mhm.
This is the heartbeat here of, I think, elevated conversations, where we can look at what it is to be an authentic human being, a real human being, to defy the lies of modern society, the default humanity that takes things awry and that also becomes a vehicle for evil and dark things if unmanaged, uncontrolled in oneself. And if you're here listening, maybe you're grappling with something like that, but I know that there's a way out, and the way out is through standing in the mirror, looking at yourself, your life, who you are, your ways of being, your ways of acting, and cleaning up the places and the ways where you undercut yourself, your own freedom, your peace of mind, your authenticity. You cut off and undermine, sabotage. And maybe it's not you, it's not the real you, but I like to think or say we have two selves: the lowercase self, the higher case S self, the lowercase I identity, the uppercase I identity. And which one are you serving? And cleaning up the one that doesn't serve you and something greater than you, your creator, God, the supreme being, the author of the universe. Are you just all about you, me, myself, and I? Or are you outgrowing that childish frame of mind and being? David, we have a question here, and this question, I think the world has gone bonkers. The world has gone crazy.
Yeah.
And so many people, I just hear in general, that what I hear, the stories I hear, and a lot of people are living life pretty well, but then, man, there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of grappling. If you look at what's happening from starting from the inner cities, from the homelessness, the fentanyl epidemics, the a government that's gone totally awry, the economy, people really grappling with real life financial situations, the ability to keep a roof over their and their families' heads, or provide properly for themselves or their lives. And the world has changed so much for people since, if I think, just pre-pandemic even. And but it's not looking like it's going in a good direction, the world right now. And when I say the world, really it's people, the collective of people, of human beings. And I think it's important to become someone who stands separate from the crowd and think for yourself, because the temptation is to drop into groupthink, or get bought into different groups or ideologies or ways of thinking that abandon your own. And then you lose yourself in that. You're left in the experience of having lost yourself because you're no longer thinking for yourself. And I am distinguishing thinking different from thoughting, where you just live in all the random thoughts and imaginations that are coming up randomly, and you're interacting with a fantasy and living a fantasy life, an unreal life that leads to unreal outcomes and experience. No bueno in my experience. You want to get real. You want to get to the light of truth, and then true up to that truth, live by that truth, and aim true. So, the question, how are you doing, David, by the way?
Taking any hot potatoes lately, Baron? I haven't.
Oh,
Mm.
so there are hot potatoes around for any of us. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, they're hot potatoes, but you haven't been taking them.
No.
And if you don't take them, who's left holding them?
Whoever tries to give them away.
The provider.
Yes.
Yeah. And the provider, when you don't take the hot potato, they're left holding that hot potato. And then what do? tend to do when they're left holding their own hot, burning hot, right out of the oven potato?
They
What
get
happened?
angry. They get angry because you won't take it.
Ah.
So if you had a problem already with somebody and they try to give you the hot potato and you won't take it, they're gonna even get more and more angry and frustrated at you, and they're
Mm.
gonna try to figure an angle to get you to accept the hot potato, and if you don't,
Mm.
you're free, but your freedom is different than the kind of freedom where you don't have any cares in the world. You still have a person out there that is looking and hunting you down and trying to figure out how to get you to take something that you have no obligation to accept. And you
Mm.
gotta stand your ground, and so that's how I'm doing right now. I'm standing my ground, and I it feels actually really good. I told you when we talked before we started here that I feel very ambivalent about this person who's trying to destroy my life.
Hmm.
I feel absolutely I'm not really angry,
Yeah.
although the person is out of their mind, and actually they've involved a lot of other people in the
Mhm.
periphery, which shouldn't
Mhm.
ever have been involved, and but that's just
It
fine.
always it doesn't really matter who what you're describing to me is the stage of life.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
stage of life.
the stage.
And different actors, different players,
Yeah,
different co-stars, but the same script, the
yeah,
same default script. And most of those types of people, it's interesting you said they bring in other people because my experience is those type of people can't stand alone. They're not autonomous. They're not able to stand on their own feet and stand in their own conviction. They need to create the
yeah.
conspiracy,
Mhm.
and it ends up being a conspiracy for mediocrity, and then people jump on the bandwagon and
The other
but
saying
but
is
it
that
it
misery
and then
loves
oh
company. A miserable person looks for other people that are miserable and they commiserate. Yeah,
yeah, and then they blame and they fault and
sure.
they
Yeah,
they
yeah,
should do this or they shouldn't have done that, and they live in this inner environment within themselves that is full of resentment, malevolent. Is that the way of saying it? Malevolence?
yeah, malevolence, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a dark
and
force.
it's a dark force, right?
Mhm.
And because none of us get away with anything in life. There's no free ride like that. If
Well,
you have resentment
yeah,
and you keep living in blame and fault, I don't know, go do it. I mean, it's your life.
yeah.
And in 500 years, no one's going to give 2 cents, including you or me.
Or maybe 5
But
years for that matter.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Whether in this life or certainly
soon
the
enough.
future generation, none of
Yeah,
it matters. So
yeah,
if you, anyone listening, if you're been under attack or criticism or adversity, and actually this ties beautifully into this question here,
yeah,
but don't take the hot potato. Be free in yourself, and let all the other people that are after you, let them lose sleep, let
sh
them
yeah. And
grovel
by the
and
way, I told you
in
this,
their
I
pig
have not
pens.
lost an ounce of sleep. As a matter of fact, I've been sleeping very well
Yeah.
because my conscience is clear. I have not What's weird, it's like you have 2 choices when you're confronted with somebody who's accusing you of something that you didn't do. First of all, you could try to reason with them and try to show them where they're wrong. And sometimes that will work, but most of the time, a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Then you get into these protracted, like verbal wars and war of wills, where that
Yeah.
person's will
You
is
lock
gonna
horns
you
and
lock horns. Says, you know what? I
you're
decided,
wasting your energy and time,
right
right? If you go down that. Yeah.
when the second party was involved, 10
Mhm.
minutes after the first party accused me, the second party got involved and accused me of something worse. I said,
Mhm.
you know what? I'm not taking this hot potato.
Mhm.
So they can do whatever they I said, "Do your worst. Go ahead, try."
What you're speaking to, what you're not saying, but
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you speaking to, but you didn't say it, is that I've been attacked in different ways. It just comes with when you are on some kind of pursuit of
Mhm.
greatness or pursuit of excellence or pursuit of accomplishment or uh, contributing to the world, doing bigger things. Hate comes with that. Hate, you receive hate,
Yeah.
right? And then, but it's not that hate, but you have the opportunity. Like, I know if someone were designing my life and they wanted me to become a stronger person within myself, a powerful person, a free person, a person with wisdom, a person with peace of mind, a person who is resilient, a person who can kind of handle whatever life throws. If I was designing, if someone was designing my life and they wanted me to become those things, that of character, then, well, they would have to put me through toil. Is it toil?
Mhm.
Trial, tribulation,
Sure.
toil,
Sure.
difficulty, adversity.
Mhm.
There's no other way to develop without that. So when you get hate, and there's no way, but when you get hate, this is what for everybody listening, as since we're on this, when you get hate, it's an indication you're on the right path, that you're growing, you're becoming something. Now, it could be that you're faulty and you've done something you shouldn't have done. Okay, own that. And that's what I was saying, pointing to with you, David. What I heard you didn't say, but I heard it in your speaking, was that you're not, there isn't something there truthful that
Yeah.
you need, because I know you. If there
Yeah.
was something, if you were being accused of something that you did that you shouldn't have done, or something, or you didn't do something you should have done,
Mhm.
you'd fess up, you'd own it, and no big deal about it. You're the bigger kind of person like that.
Yeah.
But when you know you're just receiving hate out of envy or jealousy, or someone who just, people, here's another thing. You don't, when it's not, it's them, it lives over there with them. Because here's the thing, another thing that I've learned over the years is that you don't, people cheer you on when you're a beginner, or when you're pursuing something. When you're pursuing, people cheer you on. But when you get there, then they start tearing you down. They
Mhm.
stop cheering you on, and they start tearing you down.
Yeah.
And partly the reason they cheer you on when you're in the pursuit of growth or greatness or excellence, or accomplishing something, the reason they cheer you on is because they feel like, wow, I can do this too. I can do this for myself. I can do this too. But when you arrive and you actually make the accomplishment, they start tearing you down, because you remind them
Mm.
of what they haven't yet been able to
There's a
do.
lot of truth in that.
Yeah. And so the hate that you're receiving is par for the course, but it's also evidence you're doing the right thing. It's the light. When you're getting the hate or the criticism, it's the light of truth that you're aiming true.
Mm.
It's par for the, and to be able to distinguish yourself, where, okay, what is there here to learn for myself? Or no, I am over here, I know who I am, and that's all them, and their whatever's driving them over there. And another last thing here, another indication that the people that, if they're attacking you or hating on you, another indication that it's them is if there's a group, if they get into a group
Mhm.
attack, group ideology, group
Yeah.
think, and they're coming. That's an indication that, because if it's an individual, it's no, they're gonna deal with you directly. They don't
Well,
have to build
you
up a
know
whole
what's funny
militia
about this?
around them, because they know
Yeah.
their house is built on quicksand. Yeah.
What's funny to me, though, is that once you don't accept the hot potato, if the person doesn't have any sense of, let's say, conscience about what they're doing, then they try to fortify their position by figuring out a whole bunch of other things that they can accuse you of. So now not only is just
Oh
one
yeah.
false accusation,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now it's almost like if you're a
That
fisherman.
one didn't work. That accusation didn't work.
And you know
So
what's
now
funny?
they just start making shit up, or
Well,
looking for
but
any
it's
stamps or
everything.
evidence of the past, receipts from the
That's right.
past.
In the past, let me see what I can find to hold against this person. And none of that works either because, first of all, nobody has any right to try to control my life but me. And so if they want to find 1,000 things to try to hold against me,
Yeah.
that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not my problem, especially because in light of the way that it's all being handled. So
Hmm.
I don't, honestly, I'm ambivalent about it. Strangely enough, yes, it's crappy what they're doing to me,
Yeah.
especially the level of it. It's really vicious attacks, verbal
Hmm.
attacks, threats of all kinds, and it's very weird. But at the same time,
Hmm.
by not playing into it, there's a certain liberation, as you and I were talking about, like a
Hmm.
stepping back from it all and letting it just all play out.
Hmm.
And there's freedom in that. And so now I think you have a great question about motivation.
Yes, sir. We're
Yes.
really in the conversation here of motivation, if you think about it, right? What
Yes.
motivates someone to put all the blame and fault on someone else? Now, they can say justice, or what are some of the woke terms people use
Yeah.
about the oppressor and the
Yes.
oppressed?
Yeah.
And it's not even woke, man. That's more like the more I study history, whether it's ancient Rome or all the way fast forward up into Mao, communist China, or Hitler, fascism, you start seeing this theme of ideologies, and the way the government, the devolution, the
Yeah. Right.
dismantling of
Mhm.
a society and institutions, they always, it's textbook, they always have to create an oppressor
Yep.
and the oppressed,
That's right.
victim and victimizer.
Yep.
And I think our society now, it's all over social media. You get on Twitter for 5 minutes, and the viciousness of the attacks on anyone who has achieved anything or any kind of success, the viciousness is, it will completely objectifies it. There's no human being they're attacking. It's so
Mhm.
vicious. It's like, whoa. But it's
Well,
really the people are unwilling or willing dupes for some greater evil or dark force
I
at
it's almost
work in our
it's almost a
environment.
psychological bloodlust, and I call them piranha people, because
Hmm.
if there's a drop of blood in the water, the piranha go frenzy, and then if there's one piranha that gets nicked, then they eat that piranha. In other words, it's an eating frenzy. It's a soul-feeding frenzy, and if you happen to
Yeah.
be caught in the crosshairs of somebody that's in a soul-feeding frenzy, they bring in all the other piranha, and they're just gonna devour.
Yeah. Or, and maybe it brings out the piranha in weaker human beings.
Yeah.
Because, and when I say weaker, to me, that could mean a lot of things. It could be weaker from the standpoint of they're actually good-hearted people and they have a natural compassion, but that it's being, compassion is being weaponized by the lead or the leader piranhas,
Mhm.
who weaponize compassion in this, in attacking some oppressor or victimizer, when, and I'm not talking about real criminal acts here, if someone's actually, but the people that getting on board, often they're unwilling, they don't realize they're being used, they're weak. And then when I say weak, it's in that they don't have a filter. What's that? A firewall
Mhm.
for propaganda, or a firewall for, they're being
Well,
deceived, and their people are pulling on their good-heartedness,
yeah.
but it's being, compassion is being weaponized
Listen,
by these lead piranha type people in any group or any kind of like,
the thing is
yeah,
that
mob.
Matthias Desmet wrote a book about this. It's called Mass Formation Psychosis. And the mass formation psychosis begins with only a small number of people, but see, people are predisposed to piranha type thinking. And it's a flaw in human nature.
Like
And
it's a
so
default there for human
it's a
beings.
total default,
Yeah.
and it's a gang mentality kind of, thing, and you see it in cities where people are deprived of opportunity. And so what they do is they join together in a mass formation, and then they feel strength in that. And but in the situation where you're dealing with somebody who is being attacked for something that is erroneous or not true,
Mhm.
there is a deeper desire, and I call it like a bloodlust, that they want to, because they've harbored resentment. See, the people that I'm dealing with have harbored resentment toward me for many years. These are family members, okay?
And wait, and probably though they've harbored resentment toward you, but pause there just for a moment. I don't want to
Sure.
gloss over this because I think it's key.
Yeah.
Is that people who, they already have resentment. It's, you squeeze an orange and you get orange juice,
Right.
and so when they get, so whatever happened between you all, something, maybe something happened, and then but they got squeezed, or the one person got squeezed, and then what comes out is what was already in there. That's my point. Is it's not just harboring resentment toward you, it's how people live their life in
Mhm.
general.
Mhm.
And then if you happen to cross their path, and then give them a squeeze, what comes out is this resentment or malevolence or bitterness and attack, kill, destroy, whatever, like that. Yeah. But it's already
Mm,
there, is my
mhm,
point. It was
mhm.
already waiting to happen.
Yes, that's for sure, and, yeah, the little bit of squeeze, but the squeeze, um, there's 2 kinds of reactions that people can have to any given situation, the positive or the negative reaction. The positive reaction would be to act with grace and patience and be willing to listen and understand. But the flip side of that is to make a value judgment that, and remember, this is a prejudgment that goes way, way back. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like when a person has to vomit, they have no control over it. When it's a gag reflex, except for it's
Mm-hmm.
spiritual. It's a spiritual gag reflex. Ugh, they want to just vomit on you because there's
Mm-hmm.
stuff in there that's bothered them or they've held on to it for
Yeah.
so many years. It's toxified them. And
It's a
it's
pre I
their
love that though. It's
problem.
you nailed it. It's a prejudgment. And when we live
Yeah.
in those prejudgment or prejudices,
Yeah.
they stick around in us.
Oh, and
And it yeah,
yeah.
I was in at a park recently, a dog park, and there were some people walking by the dog park, and someone's dog from the park just ran up to this person, this couple walking, and one of the people just really lost it, got so fearful and afraid.
Yeah.
And the dog was being playful, and then and it was this whole little drama scene, and the dog owner came running over and said, like, she's friendly and yada yada. But this person was so freaked out
It
and
was a
had such a
projection
reaction.
from the reactor.
Yeah. And then so later I
Mm.
was over at another part of the park, and the people were standing there, and I don't even remember what I asked them about it. I said that, yeah, that dog scared you or something. And then the woman said that she had been bitten by a dog, and she
Mm.
pulled up the sleeve on her forearm on her shirt and showed
Yeah.
me. Yeah, and there was a scar there. She goes, I had been bitten by a dog. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I just don't like, can't be around dogs at all. And
PTSD, brother. It's what it
but
is.
that's a prejudice right there. It's so all dogs are dangerous, all dogs will
Right.
hurt me,
Yeah.
all dogs are to be avoided.
But see, here's the thing. What's really
Mhm.
interesting is it's the silly putty. Remember the silly putty when we were kids? You could
Mhm.
take it and press it on a cartoon in the newspaper.
Yeah.
But the silly putty effect is that the person has not forgiven. In other words, they're still living
Mhm.
in the anger and the trauma, and then therefore the fear of
Mhm.
that event.
Of what
And
gets
so
triggered there.
that
Yeah.
event has not
Yeah.
left. It's still present, the event,
Yeah.
and then there's a new animal that comes into the scene, and so that triggers the past event. And again, this is all part of this the
Yeah.
precondition of
Yeah, yeah.
people that hold on to and they're just waiting for that moment to get triggered. But it was really strange,
They're
Baron.
waiting, or it's waiting in the lurking in the background.
Yes,
Like,
it.
it's not even
Yep.
like a conscious waiting. It's
Yeah.
just it's in waiting. Whatever
Yeah.
that judgment, that prejudice, that maybe it's a trauma or a reactive mind, but it's
Mhm.
lurking in the background in wait. It's a reaction waiting to happen.
Yes. A
Uh,
reaction in
Wait, can I
waiting.
tell you one more story that just
That's
came to
really good.
mind? It's years ago when I was in my kind of early 20s. I was a yoga teacher in LA and Beverly Hills. And I used to work with some of the Gucci family, the Gucci brand,
Mm,
the
mhm.
Italian designer clothing brand.
Yeah.
And I worked with some of the Gucci family, very Italian, full on Italians and thick Italian accents in their mansion up in Beverly Hills. And I used to go 3 times a week and give private lessons. And one day we were going through a session, and it was one of the women, I won't mention her name, but it was a Gucci, and the doorbell rang. And we were just like in the living area and had the yoga mats rolled out and stuff. So the doorbell rang, she answers it, and it was a delivery of an immense, like 5 or 6 dozen red roses. The delivery person handed it to her, and then she closed the door, and she literally, I saw her, she walks from the door to the a garbage can and just stuffed them down the garbage can.
Mm.
And I asked, I go, whoa, what? I said, are you mad at the person who sent those to you? And she said, no, I love the person who sent them to me. It's actually my fiance. And I said, "Well, why are you throwing away?" She said, "I hate red roses. I hate
Mm.
red roses." I said, "Why do you hate red roses?" She said, "Because my father would never, when I was growing up, I was in plays, I was different activity, my birthday, my father would never show up personally, but he would always send red roses."
Ah,
I was
wow,
like, "Whoa." And
wow.
she goes, "I just get so," she was so angry too. Like
Mhm.
when she had the rose, and she was so like, you'd see this in a rage bubbling up
Yeah,
when she was like throwing them away. It wasn't like a light, like non emotional event. It was like she was triggered. And I was like, "Hey, we're going to get back into yoga here. We got to like get back in your breath, get back into your body." But wait, what happened there? And she told me, and then pretty soon she calmed back down. But it's amazing how the body, you get in your body and your hands and feet and your breath, and you see what in front of you, how suddenly that physical presencing takes you right out of all that drama, out of all that reactivity.
yeah.
That was what I was going to ask you. And then we'll move on to the question. But how does someone not take the hot potato?
It's a conscious choice. And here's how you take a hot potato, by not consciously not choosing to take it. Now, when I saw this whole thing unfolding in my situation, it was just like very clear to me as 1 minute there was a demand for an answer to something that I hadn't done.
Mm,
But then 5 minutes later, there was another person accusing of something that I hadn't done. And I thought, this is a hot potato. I'm not taking it.
hmm
I mean, it was that clear to me. Most people don't consider the source.
mm,
What is the source? It is a person who has decided to launch some kind of an assault,
hmm
psychic, spiritual, emotional assault on you
hmm
because of their own fear, because of their own guilt, because of their own
hmm
wrong ideas about things. And the question is, are you going to feed it or are
hmm
you going to defeat it? And the
mm,
only way you can defeat it is by not feeding it. Now, the person at the other end of that is obviously going to get really triggered because they expect a certain kind of reaction. And
hmm
when you don't give it to them, if you don't accept the hot potato, it's almost like accepting an invitation to a knife fight. I'm not gonna get into a knife fight with you. I'm just not going to.
hmm hmm
But then now they have this, "Ugh," they really wanna get into that fight. They wanna bloodlet. They wanna emotionally bloodlet. They wanna get into you and take a piece of your flesh, and you're saying, "No, not gonna go there."
You just
So
let it
it's a
roll. You
you
just be there and you
you
let it roll
just
right off.
be. You
Be
just
in your
be.
feet. Yeah,
And
be
here's
in
the
your
other thing.
feet, be in your eyes, be in your body, be present.
You
Because you
gotta be
yeah,
in a place where they can't where they literally can't touch you.
within
Now,
your a place within yourself, so to speak,
even let's say it's
or
something that
without as
you know,
well.
you
Yeah.
know why there are laws against workplace harassment? Because people unconsciously can't help but manipulate or intimidate other people because they themselves are victims of this, and so it is a domino effect of things having been done to him. Just like when you explained about the roses,
Mhm.
this poor woman, unfortunately, had leftover pain from her dad never being there. So now the rose represents the father's absence in her life.
Mhm.
It's a sad commentary on the power of negative
Mhm.
emotions that she really wanted her dad to show up. It's what it really represents is a lack of love on behalf of the dad. Him thinking that he was going to assuage her need for him with a rose made her feel completely worthless. And so the rose, somebody could send her 10,000 roses, it would make her feel even more worthless because each rose represents like a needle point sticking in her soul, in her emotional, in her psyche. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that wound is there,
Its
right?
wound is
But
there.
yet, and like I shared, it's like in the moment, it was like I got her back under her hands and feet,
Yes.
and then in her breathing and back in her body.
Yeah.
And I think that for to me is part of the answer of how to not take the hot potato, how not to launch into reactivity. Be where you are, be where your feet are, be your path is right in front of you. And you're coming, the question really, the question mark on our soul, any of our souls in a moment of that, it's a temptation there. In the moment you're being tempted to take the hot potato, someone's saying something they shouldn't say, or it's mean, or they're not doing something they should do, but you you don't react, you do nothing. essentially. You be present and you watch
Mhm.
and you stay in your own breath. Once you go into your own thoughts, right there, your thoughts start saying, oh, they're mean or they're vicious. Or the
Right.
moment you start interacting with those kind of thoughts, you're gone. From thoughts down to feelings, triggered, bigger stories. Then you get the body sensations and the shakes and the heart palpitations and the adrenaline rush and yada, yada. And suddenly you're in a whole condition, a whole state, an upset. And the practice is to, how do I downset? Downset. Like right now, if you be aware of the seat you're sitting in, or you be aware of your feet, you see the physical environment around you. Actually, whatever you were thinking about before, if you actually just got present, like you stopped, dropped into your body, notice your breath, you see what you're seeing in the physical universe just out here, getting outside, you open up, you open out and it to your environment, and you get right here, whatever you're thinking before is gone, because we can only be with one thing at a time and only be in one place at a time. And you're coming from one place or the other. You're coming from that wounded place, or you're coming from a presence, and you're present to a greater presence.
The human body can only exist a short number of days without water. Your body needs to
Mm-hmm.
be replenished with water. And they say if you drink like 8 cups of water a day, that's really healthy. But what if you look at it from the point of view of, let's say it's not water that you're consuming now, but
Mm-hmm.
the energy, and
Mm-hmm.
whether it's positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
And see, most people don't realize that they consume large amounts of negative energy all day long, every day. And they're unaware that they're doing it. And actually, they're nourishing, they're quenching
Mm.
something
Yeah.
inside themselves. Now, to be ambivalent, to step back as I did, I got to that point where I have nothing to lose at this point. But you see, everybody who reacts and gives in to those unreasonable moments in life is actually feeding something of that moment into their
Mm.
deeper self,
Yeah.
and that's a contamination of ourselves, and this is why we have anxiety, and you have
Mm-hmm.
depression, and you have, and
Sadness. Mm-hmm.
you feel a burden, a toxic burden. Like, why am I not happy? Why do I have this terrible burden? And so I think I mentioned
Yeah.
this to you one time, the pink elephant
Mm-hmm.
exercise,
Mm-hmm.
where if you want to free yourself from feeding the wrong energy into yourself, you said be aware of the chair that you're in, or just, but there's one more thing. You can actually visualize something. I use a pink elephant
Mm-hmm.
because it's a stupid image, and no one wants to hold on to the image of a pink elephant. But if you visualize a pink elephant
Mm-hmm.
and then you close your eyes and you focus on that for about 15 seconds, then you flow your energy down into your fingers, down your arm into your fingers, and you just concentrate on your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Within 15 seconds, the pink elephant disappears. You have redirected the energy of your mind. Where your mind goes, your
Mm-hmm.
energy flows. You've
Mm-hmm.
re-centered yourself in that moment. It's a
Mm.
reset.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is the simplest thing in the world, and yet how many
You
times.
went, let me add this, you
Yeah.
went from being a consumer, where
Yes.
the
Yes.
inflow of what
Yes.
others are saying, and in the world now, people are so trained to just take in on social media, it
Totally.
just consume, its inflow.
Yeah.
But the flip of that is outflow, to
Mhm.
flow from the
Mhm.
inside out, to
Yep.
flow. So your energy's out. So things aren't flowing in, but you're outflowing and getting, like what you just said, you're flowing from the pink elephant in your head
Yeah.
down to right into your body, your shoulder, down through your arm, your shoulders, down through your arms, into your
Yeah.
little fingers, first fingers, second fingers, third thumbs. And you're getting suddenly an anchor to the physical unit, to a presence. It's a
Right.
physical presencing, which then allows you to onto, in the realm of your being, you start opening up, and you can be open and undefended and know who you are in that moment, and you can look at evil right in the eye and it has no power over you.
And not only that, but you're
Yeah.
actually, see, if you want to go to the source of life itself,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't exist tomorrow and it doesn't exist yesterday. It only exists in the now moment, in this
Yeah.
very and it's like eating an elephant. You have to eat it one spoonful at a time.
Yeah.
The truth and the life comes one spoonful at a time.
Mhm.
You consume it one spoonful in the now moment, in the present
Mhm.
moment. You take a little spoonful of that moment, and that is all nourishing. It's all
Mhm.
you really need is to live in the moment. And then from that, you get a different kind of motivation.
Yeah.
You see, you get a
Motive.
different
Okay.
kind of energy.
Perfect. So, couple things here. We went with this. We went with
We should
this.
do a part 2 is what we should
So
do.
I was just gonna say, let's do a part two
Yes.
because we've run out of time on here,
Yeah.
and let's do a part two, and we'll bring the question forward. It's a very powerful question
Great question.
about motivation in the
Mhm,
face of difficulty.
mhm.
So, on being motivated, how to be motivated in when you're dealing with difficulty in your life. So, we'll wrap up here. You all, please share the show. Sharing the show helps the show grow, and you grow as a human being as you pay good things forward.
Mm.
David, I think there are some people, we have different kinds of listeners. There are people who share the show, they listen, they get value, they share the show. And then there are people who listen and they're afraid to share the show because of they might get judged for it, or people might not relate to what we're saying, or they have some judgment toward me, or I don't know, but they won't share the show. And then you have, yeah, maybe it says two kind of listeners, but I think those of you who don't share the show, grow some. That's all I'll say. Grow some. Yeah, and be a stand because it's really a part of how you grow. And then as you grow, we grow, you grow, and share the show so others can grow too. And you get to develop your ability to prune off and skim off all those people that really you don't need in your life anyhow.
Yeah.
If they're attacking you and for you enjoying something and you sharing that and they come after you, yeah. Time to update the people in your life, people. All right. Peace out, y'all. Thank you.